Hi, and welcome again to another edition of Market Analysis for today, June 24th of 2024. And this is Giovanni Benacourt, analyst, trader, and educator with Vantage Markets. And this is a recording previous to the open of the U.S. session, the U.S. trading session. All right, so investors should brace for drama. The second half of 2024 is shaping up to be a time of transition and volatility. The decisions that investors make now will be key to navigating this period effectively. Now, it's generally considered a good idea to diversify your holdings, but there's a flip side. If one sector is doing particularly well, the others can wait on returns. And so it has been on the S&P 500. NVIDIA, which briefly became the biggest listed company recently, has more than tripled in value since this time last year and has driven much of the index's 25% gain. It's enough to make you wonder if diversification is pointless. Even if you diversify with other semiconductor stocks, your returns might still be dragged down. And there's no sign the rally in semiconductor stocks is going to end anytime soon. Valuations might look stretched by traditional metrics, but it's still not clear how huge demand for artificial intelligence enabling chips is going to get. Yet diversification still makes sense because when the rally does end, it's almost impossible for investors to get in the timing right. And there are a growing number of people who are starting to turn bearish. Now, the S&P 500 futures are up this morning, right about 0.04%, and the Nasdaq futures are down negative 0.11% this morning as market participants looked ahead to comments from Federal Reserve officials and reports from several notable companies like FedEx, Nike, Levi's are also out this week. Also in Friday's trading session, Wall Street's major averages closed mixed. And in the coming week, the May reading on the U.S. Core Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, which is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, will be coming out. It will be the main highlight. Also, market participants will be eyeing a spate of other economic data releases, including the U.S. GDP third estimate. Also, the CP Consumer Confidence Index, new home sales, crude oil inventories, initial jobless claims, just to name a few. So we're going to have, today's going to be quite empty for all those macroeconomic data coming out. But later on in the week, we're going to have plenty of fun. Investors will also gain further insight into the artificial intelligence landscape this week as investors' favorite NVIDIA hosts its annual shareholder meeting on Wednesday. So perhaps all of this movement on NVIDIA trading lower last week, freedom 140, it retraced and hit about 125. It's at about 124 right now. It could be just, profit taking and waiting for this event and see how good the stock, take another leg up. That could be another probability. The Euro stock 50 futures are up about positive 0.63% this morning, with investors awaiting the fresh economic data and interest rate decisions from some of the region's central banks. Asian stocks market today settled mixed. China's Shanghai Composite Index closed down negative 1.17%, and Japan's Nikkei 225 closed up positive 0.54%. So with that being said, let's take a look at what we can speculate to see in today's market conditions, market fluctuation. All right, so in technical analysis, there is a way to see how markets might fluctuate the following week, and that is taking into consideration how the previous Friday closed. So on Friday we closed on the red, even though we had fluctuated even lower. Anyhow, with this fluctuated in red. Okay, so down, and today we are opening down. So chances are that we will have a beginning of a correction. And like I said, a correction is always expected after making continuously higher highs and higher lows. This is for sure an uptrend. Okay. Now, we could also come and contemplate the idea that the market is creating an island top. Okay, an island top is created basically after a gap up, okay, and then a gap down is created. Even though on Friday's session that gap is not that visible, but if you look, this particular candle closed at 20,051, and this one on Friday opened at 20,046. All right, so 5 points, 5 ticks, 5 pips difference. Still a gap. Okay, it's not that big. Yeah, if you want it to be a more pronounced gap, but anyhow, this particular island top is measured or is used as a reverse. Okay, so we most likely are going to continue to trend lower. If you look at this right here, this is a confident congestion, okay, of volume indeed. So this candle was created on big volume, okay. So we can use this level, which is right 19,900, as a possible level of support for the Nasdaq, where we could probably come in and rebound from here and continue trading higher. I have mine at 19,800. So RSI is overbought. So that correction is expected. We can probably see that correction to be happening. How much deeper? Okay, well, 20% correction, meaning will be or in a downtrend. Okay, so change of trend sentiment. That's for the Nasdaq. Now let's take a look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500, it created an island or a gap. If you want to, obviously it created that gap, but it wasn't followed by another gap the next day. So we could probably say, yeah, the same scenario could probably be happening as a Nasdaq as a reverse, but it's looking to be more of if you had taken into consideration to finding the midpoint between these two candles, I calculated to be somewhere around here. That could be used as a support, which that's what I did, and the market could probably most likely going to come down towards it, so they could close that gap and then find that support and continue to move higher. So indeed, also it's a short reverse, but also the market also closed in the red on Friday, and we are in red today. So we most likely continue to speculate that we're going to have a red week or a couple of days in the red. As you see what will happen. The Dow Jones, however, is a different scenario. It also had a gap last week, but the market the next day, it didn't open with a gap down. It actually opened with a gap up, I believe, and it continued to trend higher. So 39,700 was a resistance level that we produced last week, and we could probably come and speculate that the market being still outside of the overbought territory, that we could probably come in and move a bit higher. So I'm just going to be cautiously optimistic. I'm just going to move my resistance 100 points higher. So 39,800. And then I'm going to use this double bottom here as my probable level of support for the Dow. Buying the Dow, selling NASDAQ, selling the S&P cautiously in the initial. Okay, so crude oil. Well, crude oil, $82 is looking to be more and more in sync with the market behavior. So $79 is going to be support. Okay, we are creating. Oh, wait a minute. We opened with a gap down today. Okay, so if it was closed, we could probably just come and say that gap down was probably also just some profit taking, or just people anticipating a previous move to the downside. We are also kind of making a covenant of congestion, so a breakout also is in favor. I'm still being bullish, so $82 is my target. $80 initially could be that support intraday. So $82, I'm still buying it. Let's see. So being long crude oil, Nat Gas. All right, so Nat Gas, Looking also, this one opened with a gap down. It was close, so 260 is my support, and that's where I'm looking to buy if it comes down towards that. Then we have gold. Friday, strong gap, strong market fluctuation to the downside. So let's just use 2,300 as my support, and I'm gonna use 2,350 as my resistance. Let's see if we can initially come up to the medium of the Bollinger Bands and use that as a reference of resistance. So buying gold, silver. All right, so silver is also looking to fluctuate to the downside. 30 will be our level of resistance, and 28.50 could be our level of support. So I'm gonna still be bullish with silver. Copper. Let's take a look at copper. So copper, on the other hand, it's also just looking to sustain itself. I'm looking that copper could probably come in and at least fluctuate towards the middle of Friday's trading session. So being optimistically with copper, buying copper. Bitcoin just taking a plunge. 60,000 is on the radar. So that's what we're going to be placing around there. Our support, and 64,000 is going to be the resistance for it. We are entering oversold territory, so keep that in mind. So perhaps when the market comes down towards that 60,000, you could probably do a reverse. So it's a psychological round number. All right, the currencies, the euro is looking to recuperate itself after having a last 2 days of trading session in the red. So above 107. Let's see if we don't reach 107.5. I have my resistance at 107.700. So still being bullish with it. Okay, the pound as well. So let's see if the 127 could be met. And then we have the dollar index. This seems to be retreating from after making such a strong movement on Friday, opening with a strong gap up, which it was obviously previously closed. So 105 is a target. Let's see if that we bet. Have a great trading day, and I'll see you tomorrow.